The Bradford Educational Foundation is a supporting organization that exclusively supports the University of Pittsburgh at Bradford. The foundation was established in 1981 by a group of local business leaders, as well as our former president, Dr. Richard McDowell. Those days were a time of uncertainty, and there were stresses on the state budget, as well as a recession, not just in our region, but throughout the whole state. And so these business leaders sat down along with Dick McDowell, established the foundation to ensure that higher education would remain in Bradford and our region.
I essentially describe it as an initiative that was started by community leaders such as Tom Bromley, Bill Higgey, Howard Fessenmeyer, continued by people like Judge John Cleland, of course with Dick McDowell playing a major role as president during the time that the foundation was established.
I applaud the thinking, the foresight of the originating members of BEF in ensuring that BEF served only Pitt-Bradford and that it was held here in ownership.
We and some of the other schools thought it could be a good idea to have scholarships available that could be determined by people outside of the institution, and also to have the funds available to use for those students. It worked out fine. Is that we had starting members who stuck with it all the way along, even though other schools who started similar foundations closed down. This one didn't. We were fortunate, and we came through with colors flying.
Howard Fessenmeyer is probably singly the biggest fundraiser the University of Pittsburgh ever had.
Sam was one of the early people to recognize that there was a danger of the money leaving Bradford.
And unfortunately, Sam Gregg is not recognized for any of his accomplishments because he was one of these people who didn't want to be recognized. He would do anything to make sure this university grew. He understood the economic development of having a university in Bradford.
The University of Pittsburgh, I think, has come to recognize how passionate we are here at Pitt-Bradford, both the advisory board and the Bradford Education Foundation. I think they understand the ownership both groups take in this campus. And I would have to say that my impression is that they respect us for that.
We have been able and willing to step up at times when they need it for all kinds of different things, major projects, and sometimes even operating expenses.
One of the important roles of the president is to steward the gifts and contributions that donors make to the University of Pittsburgh at Bradford. It has identified, along with the campus, the most important needs that the institution has. And one of those, of course, is to provide scholarships.
A lot of our students coming to Pitt-Bradford are first-generation students, and they come from families that are in need. Our students are in need, and scholarships are one way that we can help them reach their goal of getting that 4-year degree.
My donor scholarships mean everything to me. I lost my father my sophomore year, and so that did a lot for me, emotionally, financially, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to come back. So when I received those donor scholarships that next semester, it meant the world to me, because then I knew that I could continue this opportunity and continue to build my education and my future, and without those scholarships, I don't really think that I would have been able to do that.
As the president of the Alumni Association, I am able to see letters that students are writing to their scholarship donors, and it brings me back to when I was receiving the scholarships myself and the heartfelt letters that I wrote to several of my scholarship donors. You can't thank them enough for giving you a chance
The Bradford Educational Foundation provides grants to our students through scholarships, providing assistance to our academic programs, as well as research opportunities for our faculty and staff, any sort of capital projects that happen on campus, like for example the Harriet Bewitt Chapel or the Blaisdell Hall, studying abroad that our students can take advantage of, and state-of-the-art technology for our classrooms.
There's other things that the university operates on, and we need other private men to improve athletics, to make sure our students are going on those trips, making sure that our students and our faculty are working together and doing research projects together. Those are all really a very important part of the university.
The foundation is able to make gifts to the university, which in turn can leverage other money to enable us to undertake projects that would be too rich to do otherwise.
Blaisdell Hall is an example of a facility that received support from the Bradford Educational Foundation. While some of the support for Blaisdell Hall came from the University of Pittsburgh, a good portion of that support came from the Bradford Educational Foundation through the gifts, of course, of donors. It's a phenomenal asset, which makes you really wonder where the University of Pittsburgh at Bradford would be if not for BEF and the individuals who had such foresight to not only develop the foundation, but to make it a core principle that the foundation's funds would remain in this region.
Back in the early 1980s, the foundation was, in terms of total assets, $781,000. Today, the total assets for the foundation are over $28 million. The total distribution for the foundation since its inception is over $31 million. The Bradford Educational Foundation continues to keep students first by providing student scholarship support. A total of $11.2 million has been distributed for this priority. And just last year alone, 421 students received a donor scholarship.
I think the growth that we've seen over the last couple of years, Pitt-Bradford is a fairly young institution, and again, we compare favorably to the state system. Actually, we're much further ahead than the state system, but we're also benchmarking ourselves against lead private institutions as well, and we're doing really well for how young Pitt-Bradford is. When I look at the other regional campuses, we're the only one still standing with a supporting organization foundation that's exclusively for Pitt-Bradford. So I think that's a real leg up.
My belief is that in the next 10 to 15 years, we need to see $50 million sitting in that fund, and that's going to be a tall order for a small community.
The only way in which we can continue to keep up with the needs of our students, especially financial needs, is to grow the foundation.
The future of our capital campaigns as we move forward on this campus over the next 10 to 15 years is going to be our alumni group.
I think it's important that alumni realize the importance of giving back as well, even if it's just $1. Those little amounts can turn into big amounts of money over the time, and they really mean a lot.
My hope is that I can develop a scholarship of my own and that I can give back the way it was so generously given back to me.
We need to bring in a new group of BEF board members who have the opportunity to understand from the mouths of the founders of this organization what it meant, why it was created, what the purpose of it is.
The founders of the Bradford Educational Foundation had a vision for the long-term sustainability of the Pitt-Bradford campus. Today, we are grateful for that vision and for the continued support of our donors.
So we're deeply grateful to its founders, we're deeply grateful to its leaders, we're deeply grateful to those who will step forward to serve the Bradford Educational Foundation in the future.
You look at that beautiful campus up there and you know that somebody has been generous, and I think in some of those cases BEF has been instrumental.